Hello,
Hello,
everybody.
everyone, and welcome to the No Nonsense Podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in macroeconomics. With me today is Matthew and Associates.
Hello. Hi, I'm Matthew, and these are my associates. Uh, Associate number one, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Dr. Dylan Monroe. I go to St. Louis Community College for Freakonomics, and I'm very excited to do this panel on, I don't know.
Macroeconomics.
Yeah,
We
macroeconomics.
fucking
I don't know.
talked about this
I don't
before the podcast.
Look, I'm not some kind of Andrew Yang nerd.
You're
all right? Leave
embarrassing me.
alone.
You're fucking embarrassing me. Associate number two, please speak up.
Okay, I'm Rose Smith, attorney at law. I'm legal counsel for the macroeconomics crew.
Hey guys, I'm Alex. I'm not the host. Welcome to the Indieheads Podcast.
Love this one.
I'm sorry. I just want to apologize off the bat to Dill. It was clearly a bit, but I was getting. I've had a lot of pent up frustration today, and I did not mean to let it all out at my dear pal and associate Dill Monroe.
Matty, I was trying to drink my fat tire, and you had just a few drops of fat tire just spill all over my disgusting crusty shirt.
Got a regular old crust punk up in here. Jesus Christ. Anyways, been a while. Been a long while since we've
Been a hot minute.
Been a hot minute.
Been a while.
We pretty much went on an unofficial hiatus after the Pitchfork podcast. Why?
Every like break in between
Unofficial
episodes.
in that it was unbeknownst to everyone, including us.
Yeah, we just kind of just didn't really feel like doing a podcast for a while. I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day.
I wanted to do a podcast.
Well,
I was like,
I've been wanting
to fucking talk about lingua
Okay.
ignota, and no one wanted to fucking do it.
Okay.
So.
Look, I've been wanting to podcast. It's just none of our schedules lined up. I couldn't rally up the troops. I used to be able to rally up the troops like no problem, but I've lost my shine a little bit. Although I think now I will just disclose this. We won't get into details, but I think us kind of getting into we're currently in the process of working on our album of the decade list, and I think that's definitely sprung up some inspiration again to start podding again. So, that's kind of, I think that's why we're here. So we won't get into details, but we are working on it, and hopefully we will have it to you probably sometime in December, early January.
We're basically gearing up for like 2 straight months of list content because
Yes.
we have to do like album of the decade, and we're gonna do like 10 separate casts, and then we're gonna have to do like song of the decade and like awards, and then we have to do like 2019 stuff.
Yeah, so it's going to be, like I said, we will more than make up for the lack of content in the past couple months, I will say.
With exclusively lists and awards.
Yes. Yes. And speaking of lists and awards, let's before we get into some albums that we want to discuss that have come out in the meantime we've been gone, let's talk about list season, baby. It's Pitchfork. Other publications like Girl vs. Bear and Uproxx have posted their list, but I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about an Uproxx. I don't give a shit about a gorilla versus bear. All right.
Yeah, I want to see
Did
more
Stephen
exciting
Hyden
animals.
do that fucking Uproxx list?
No,
No,
he
had like barely
had-
any hand in that.
Yeah, because again, I don't even think Celebration Rock was on that list.
They put out another list today that was like the albums that didn't make the main list, and it was like best indie albums of the decade. Celebration Rock definitely made that one.
Yeah. Anyways, but again, we're talking about the big dog. We're talking about Pitchfork.com and their list of the decade, which of course, as everyone knows, I am a moderator on the Indieheads subreddit, and I can say without a doubt, 2 of the most active days that we've ever had on that subreddit. Nerds were so mad about the song list specifically that we became a trending subreddit for the day.
And we stayed like that for 48 hours, I think.
At least 48 hours. We had like over anywhere between like 3,000 to 4,000 people to like I think 6, 7, maybe 8,000 people So thank you, Indieheads nerds, for getting so mad that that we again got a little bit more popular on the subreddit. And some of the most, I mean, in terms of comments too, a lot of comments. I think the song list came out to around 2.4 to 2.5k comments, and I think the album list was 2.7 to 2.8 comments. What are you on the thread right now, Rose?
Yeah, let me peep the numbers.
Oh, by the way,
27.
shit. Oh, sorry. By the way, shit. Welcome a new member of the podcast, Rose, who is now
Hello.
officially joining on as a full-time member once again. Their second run as a full-time member, although things are definitely very different now. So please give a warm welcome to Rose, and she will be our another resident dirt punk expert for the pod.
Yeah, so going back to the statistics right here, surprisingly, there's fewer comments in the song thread, even though I thought it would be the other way around. There's 2,309 comments with 200 best songs of the 2010s, and then 2,795 on the best albums of the 2010s.
Oh, God.
Good Lord.
Although, I guess so.
I mean, I was as surprised as anyone that they made Fortnite their song of the decade.
Made the Fortnite dance moves jingle. I mean, it's classic. But I will say just my basic super brief thoughts on the albums list, because I don't give a shit about the songs list. It doesn't look very good, but I don't really give a shit about songs. I'm all about the albums, baby. And honestly, at the album list, I wasn't mad. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 things that are pretty high ranked that I'm like, I don't know. But overall, I've been reading through it. I was like, yeah, this is all pretty reasonable. Maybe some snubs, but it's understandable.
Except for one very noticeable snub that I think Indieheads Pod Nation in particular will notice was excluded. It was solid. I thought it was solid.
I mean, and I'm trying to figure out if the elephant in the room that you're bringing up is like a bit or not a bit, or somehow both.
I mean,
I think
neither Benji nor Divers was on that list, and
okay.
Benji got like a 9+, right?
Yeah.
That was meant to be more of a freeform, insert album here for our listeners, but
That's true.
Yeah.
There are certainly Psychopomp wasn't on there.
But
there
that's
wasn't
not
a
shocking.
single Japanese breakfast album on there, which
that's not
simply
shocking.
incorrect.
It's not shocking, even if it is incorrect. But yeah, Benji's the most notable one. Although I did I don't blame them for not putting them on there. Like, he called one of their writers a bitch and said some pretty misogynistic things to her about her at a concert. Like, you can't just give that guy album of the year. As much as, although of course you stick that logic to like, what about Kanye? Where it's like, yeah, I kind of wish they extended it to Kanye a little bit, but at the same time though, like, Yeezus is an album that, with the context of Kanye as he is right now, makes Yeezus that much better, because it's just like, folks, like, he let us know about all these, that he was a depraved, disturbingly horny human being, and that album is incredible. Which, again, not to spoil our decade list too much, but I it's gonna be a fight between me and Jackson on who gets to write about that album when it comes time for it.
Like, Yeezus is rather, I should say, Ye is Yeezus, but bad.
Ye is, here's the thing, I have never listened to Ye, and I will refuse to listen to Ye. Just because
I listened to it once, and it was not good.
There's still a part of me that just wants to hold on to, like, Kanye as he was. There's still that little part of me, and I feel like listening to Ye would, like, fully make that, like, oh, he's done, he's ruined. It's the same reason I'm not going to listen to Jesus is King. I'm not going to listen to Jesus is King for 2 reasons, because 1, he's still on his mega bullshit, and, like, 2, like, I don't want to listen to a Christian rap album, no matter who makes it. I have no fucking... It's still just wild that, like, in pretty much within, like, the same decade that Kanye West is going to make, if you had to decide an album as like the most sinful album of the decade, Yeezus would be up there. Yeezus would be very up there on that list. And then of course going to making a Christian rap album that has no cursing and is for babies. Just nah. I'm gonna pass. Anyone who's like excited for that album is truly like you are. I hate to use this phrase, but like you're kind of cucking yourself. Like you need to stop. You need to stop.
Do we know if the album even exists? Like,
It does. It has been played in full.
It
Oh
has,
my God.
It does exist. It's just a matter of like probably getting through label hoops and whatnot, which it shouldn't take long because it's Kanye. But I guess with our overall thoughts, I guess we'll kind of get into the top. We won't get too in depth into this because we have albums to talk about. Although I guess let's talk about the top 10. I am satisfied with this top 10. I would maybe swap out. I think they picked the wrong Beyonce album. That's like my main complaint because I just don't get why self-titled is so. Because I think Lemonade is far and away her best album, and like it was like not only that Lemonade wasn't in the top 10, it was not even the highest. It was like the lowest ranked Beyonce album on the list, which was shocking to me.
Going back to Kanye, what's astonishing to me, and also this is somewhat in reference to the Kozilek discussion, but what's astonishing to me is like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is so good that Kanye West said that slavery isn't real, and Pitchfork still made it their number 2 of the decade.
I think honestly, so Stephen Hayden put out a article about Mark Kozilek earlier this week that I think actually explains a concept that's like, oh, that's actually a pretty good way to put it, in that like there's a difference between a cancellation and a discography divorce.
That was a good article.
Like, I think that's basically what I've done with Kanye, is that, like, I can't really say Kanye is canceled, because at the end of the day, Kanye is uncancelable. He's just at such a high level that, like, you can't cancel Kanye. No matter how hard you want to try, it's just not going to happen.
He hasn't, done anything that's, like, directly, like, hurt someone, you know? He hasn't, like...
He just said very stupid really things criminal. In a very
He's
high
just
platform.
said, like... insane things, like fraternized with a fascist, you know, like it. Yeah, Kanye is one of the most influential and important artists of the last 20 years, and like something bigger than what has happened has to happen for that to change.
Yes.
Not saying that it should. Or that something should happen, or, you know.
I mean, there's that month where, like, he waffled back and forth between, like, he likes Trump and then he doesn't now, and then he's cool with him again. I mean, I genuinely do not understand what is happening with his brain anymore.
I just think we can't take anything at face value. Like, I mean, personally, I don't think Kanye West is well as a human being. But, like... I don't know. I just don't think that, like, even if he's, like, totally fine, he's obviously at least, like, trolling and just trying to get publicity with some of these stunts. So it's hard to know what he's saying that he actually believes. Because, again, he flip-flops. He waffles constantly.
So you would say that Kanye West is a member of the podcast Come Town, is what you're trying to say?
I do not know what Come Town is. I have heard the name before, and obviously I love the phrase Come Town, but everything else I have heard has not been so positive, so I don't know how to input on that.
But... Jesus Christ. Okay, we should probably we probably shouldn't go too much longer on this. Although I will say, hey, I was surprisingly satisfied with this list. I did not hate it. They put Never Hungover Again in the top 100, and for that I am eternally grateful.
Yeah, what I felt about this list is that it did not make me as angry as I expected it to.
Yeah,
mostly I was fine with it. I'm still not on board with Lana Del Rey and putting Norman fucking Rockwell so high above so many other really important albums.
It was what,
like
like top 20, I think?
19.
Yeah,
19.
was
Yeah.
like a little bit of a stick up my ass, but
And then they gave it a 9.4.
But it's
That's
like,
the highest rating
I
they've given
don't
an
know.
album in many, many years. It's like they gotta stand by it.
The teens rating was actually really weird because you get like 18 is Good Kid, Mad City, and then Carrier and Lowell, and Have One on Me, and Yeezus. But then you get Drake, and you get Rihanna, and then you get Grimes, like all in the like back to back to back, and it's really bizarre.
Yeah, that's definitely here's the thing. And also my take. It's the wrong Drake album. I get why it's Take Care, but it should be Nothing Was the Same.
yeah,
It should
No, I
be.
agree.
no,
Yeah.
that's right.
Even though I get Take Care, because Take Care is like the beginning. This is
I mean,
where
I
cultural
still
dominance
think
begins. but it's like,
that the Drake material with the most artistic merit is, if you're reading this, it's too late.
I would agree with that too.
Like I think what he was doing there was much more interesting than anything else he's done. Even though I do probably actually like Nothing Was the Same the most overall. And
Although I did listen to a little bit, Nothing Was the Same again recently, and like, I think Over is one of the most embarrassing songs that I've ever heard, ever. Same with Worst
I
Behavior.
think you could say that about many Drake songs.
Drake songs are like deeply embarrassing, but like they're all, at least in this period, like that's the magic of Drake in this period. That like he is able to just to put out just stuff that's just like, why the fuck is anyone letting you say this on record? Like, not even in a like, oh, this is like really vulnerable. It's just like, this is just embarrassing. Like, you need to see a therapist or a shrink or something, dude. Like, Jesus Christ. Like,
Well, I mean,
Worst
there
Behavior
was-
especially is just like, he's doing all this like weird posturing, but also like references the fact that he was in Degrassi, and it's just like, what? What?
I mean, there was that very brief
Remember
point.
Child's Play?
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh
See,
God.
that's the big
Like-
embarrassing Drake moment for me.
It's that is the worst one. I think that is easily the worst one. That is
Yeah.
that is the song where it's like I'd get that's the moment where I give it up on Drake. It's like
I
Alright, he's
think
done.
constantly about the time I was sitting at work and we had the standard rotation of pop radio on, and I just hear the words, "Why you gotta fight with me at Cheesecake? You know I love to go there," and I just lost it.
oh God. Okay.
When Fee, my girlfriend, and I went to go visit Jero and Kasha, I think we listened to Child's Play more than once.
God.
Or maybe that was when Jero came up here to see Vampire Weekend. I'm not sure. It was a recent visit.
Whatever the case, you listen to that song probably way too many times.
Yes.
And of course, too many times is one time, and then
yes.
you listen to it more than
any
that.
times is too many times.
Exactly. But anyways, okay.
It's almost mystical. It's like it's so out of touch and so like it's I don't know. There's like we need a good tier list of like rich people bullshit. Like we need a good metric for this because I don't even know how to like place it or describe it. It's just so out there.
I mean, the
It's-
largest artist of our time having a massive temper tantrum on song about a date is really just.
I definitely think Kendall Roy's had a cry to this song. I feel like he's definitely had a good cry. Okay. Anyways, okay. It's that time, folks. This time, it's actually warranted doing an album catch up. This is like actually warranted this time, considering how long we're gone. So we're not gonna get everything. I think there's some albums that we're not gonna discuss because I think some of it is just like we're gonna wait till the end of the year, or we're gonna let it sit with us a little bit more. I think the Purple Mountains album came out in our little hiatus, and I think
All
Angel
of
Olsen-
that happened.
all that happened with rest in peace David Berman, and then also Angel Olsen. I think most of us are still like digesting that album still, and it's kind of hard to give. I can't give a coherent thought on that album yet. But
I also feel this way about Two Hands by Big Thief, which we aren't gonna
which
talk about today.
literally just came out, so that one's like
Yeah.
we can definitely hold off until we get some of our thoughts together on that. But I will let you. I believe you wrote this album down, Alex. The new Wilco album, "Ode to Joy."
Yes. I don't have a lot to say about this. I just wanted to get some thoughts out. Which of course starts with the fact that, as some of you may know, Wilco is my father, and he is to be respected. But in general, this album is good and a return to form for them. Like, it sees them being more adventurous than they've been in a while, and has Jeff's most emotive and authentic performances in over a decade. And like, I don't think Wilco has ever been bad personally, but they've definitely coasted on quite a few albums since like their like incredible like Summer Teeth, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, A Ghost Is Born run, and they definitely aren't coasting on this album. I do think it's a slow burner though, and that it's it's gonna take a long time to digest, and I have not totally digested it yet. But that's my piece.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one as somebody who's been like really eager about the last run of their records, even the ones that people aren't too hot on, like Schmilko. I see this one as kind of like an extension of that, because like the last two albums have felt like this kind of minimalist work that they've been doing compared to like the big kind of grand pop stuff that they were doing with like, I don't know, Sky Blue Sky, stuff like that. And it feels like kind of deconstruction all of that. It's like way more like the main things you kind of notice in the mix are first Jeff's voice and then Glenn Coach's drums, which together kind of make this very interesting contrast. Like on songs like Quiet Amplifier, which is, in my opinion, maybe not the highlight of the album, but like one of the best ones I can think of.
For sure, one of the best ones.
Like it just makes this excellent build with the way they do it, and like the entire time, like you are dead locked into those two, but everything else is building around that in a way that I think works really brilliantly for them.
Yeah. I've only listened to one Wilco album, and I've only listened to it once, and I don't know if I'll ever listen to another Wilco album ever again.
Wilco will love you, baby.
Just by virtue of continuing this war we made up between Wilco and Interpol in the podcast chat over the years.
I feel like this should have ended because Jero and I bridged the gap, and Jero likes Yankee Hotel Foxtrot now, and I like Turn on the Bright Lights. I feel like we should bury the hatchet. This should be over.
Then we will do it right here. We're officially burying the hatchet. The Interpol, the long Interpol versus Wilco civil podcast war has now ended. 2015 to 2018, 17 probably. I'm not sure when the actual end was.
Who knows?
Whatever the case.
I mean, I got into Turn on the Bright Lights in 2017, so
2015 to 2017, the great Winterpole wars are ended. God rest our soldiers. God rest our troops. God bless
we
troops.
we should really get on to building a memorial for all the fallen men.
Fallen men like who got
Paul Banks' rap career.
I am so mad that the top comment in the Indieheads thread wasn't the comment about they on my dick like they supposed to be. I'm so mad that wasn't the top comment. I'm so mad. God. Anyways, let's talk about the new Sandy Alex G album, or the new Alex G album, House of Sugar, a hotly anticipated album, I think, amongst the podcast chat, as I think the excitement was building and building as the singles kept coming out, and once the album came out, we were met with
some of his best songs.
This is true, but I'm trying to get to my point. I'm about to get to my point, but the disappointing realization that Alex G still does not know how to do a track list whatsoever. You can't do it.
Okay, so here's the thing, and the thing is that Alex G is here to get freaky with it, and I am in for the ride. And
He's
I
an
know the
Italian
album is
stallion.
as well put together as Rocket, but the highs are astronomical.
This is true. This is the thing. At the end of the day, the best songs on here are fucking like some of the best songs this year. Some of the best songs of Alex G's career. It's great stuff. But some of those lows, I won't even say that the lows in this album are that low. It's just like just such a noticeable step down and just such a weird diversion that it's like I like said,
Sugar is.
I actually have a take about what the very specific song you're talking about.
Are we talking? Okay, well, I wasn't gonna mention Bad Man just
and-
yet because that was gonna be a part of it.
My take is that while I do not know what Badman is trying to do in any regard, I do think it is fun. And,
Here's the thing.
I find
I agree.
it strangely compelling.
I agree. It took me, like I said, I had to come around to it. I basically eventually came around to it because I would just keep like singing it at work. Like it just kept getting stuck in my head. I'm like, motherfucker. Like, fine, it's a good song. Like, Jesus Christ. Even though it.
Why is he singing like that? Why did he make music that sounds this way?
I described it as first as like MIDI Primus, but now it's like I think I still stand by that as it's basically like my name is Mud, but a MIDI, and like that's it. I don't know, but here's the thing. It's definitely. Basically, this album is split up into like three sections. There's the intro section, which is like walk away through, I want to say Gretel, and then from like taking until Badman or Sugar is this like experimental section, and then In My Arms to Sugar House is like the last section where it's like, okay, we're back to normal. Although the thing is that compared to this and Rocket, like Rocket eases in way better to the experimental stuff than House of Sugar does. House of Sugar, it just like all of a sudden goes into like taking. You're just like okay, like this kind of sounds like this, but it's kind of like it just seems like it's a good idea, but it just seems like it wasn't really fully fleshed out. But Near, though, I do love Near. I think Near is a great song. I think that it's really fucking amazing. And
I like Near a lot.
And then it's like in between Badman, there's basically two One O Tricks Point Never ripoff songs, which I love.
Okay, no, excuse me. All right, no. All right, I've let the nerd peanut gallery have their say. So now I gotta jump in. This album fucking rocks. It rules.
It's a good album.
It kicks ass. It's his best album. It's his best album. Look.
Okay.
Mr. Sandyman was like, all right, I've had enough of this like acoustic indie rock, crooning bullshit, and so he took Rocket. He took all the cool parts of Rocket, where he's like noodling around noise and whatnot, and he just blew it up into 40 minutes, and it's fucking awesome. All right. I listened to this album over and over and over again, and I still don't know what the fuck is going on, but I know that it whips an incredible amount of ass.
I totally feel a similar way. I love all the songs on here. It's just like the experimental section, like the really experimental section, gets so weird and so out there so fast that it's kind of a punch in the face.
And then it just eases back into like In My Arms, which is just like this like really sweet like sad ballad, and you're just like, wait, like what like
it's like he kicks you in the dick off a building and you fall into like a million of the softest pillows.
This is a correct thing. Here's the thing, I like this album. I mean, obviously I like Rocket more. I think the track listing on this album is here's the thing. It's good in spite of itself, because Alex G, he tries as he might to like be like, all right, we're just gonna throw this experimental section in there, like right smack dab in the middle of the album, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. And it's like, thank you, Mr. Alex G, thank you. I'm like a feral dog, a feral stray dog who is lucky to have like a human that I can go to every night who's like generous enough to give me these scraps of food. It's like, thank you, Mr. Giniscoli. I don't know Italian.
Alex G is probably like 2 albums away from just like going full like late career Aphex Twin or
and I
Octet.
want him to do that. Like, here's the thing.
Honestly.
I love the One Oh Tricks But Never ripoff songs. I think Project 2 and Sugar are great. I think they're like, I love that he basically did like one remix with Daniel and was like, oh shit, just like something unlocked in his brain, and he was like, all right, I'm gonna try this out.
I want to try what this
Sugar
guy's
is
on.
one of the heaviest songs I've ever heard.
Yeah,
Sugar's great, but the best part, honestly, I think, is Sugar House, because after you get 40 minutes of Alex G just going to fucking Candyland, you end with what is basically the best Bruce Springsteen ballad.
I was at the concert this was recorded, and I had no memory of this song. I have no memory of it being played. When I found out that it was that it came from the show I was at, I'm like, wait, what? Like, I don't remember this at all. Like, I would have remembered it because it's like, well, there's a saxophone. I definitely would have remembered that, but like, I didn't. I'm like, wait, what? Like, I was here. Like, what? Like, what? And the only thing I'm mad about is that like it only says live, and it's like, you fucking coward, just say live at the Duck Room or live in St. Louis. Like, give us a shout out, give us something, you piece of shit. You're not even coming back on your tour for us. You're not even gonna be here on the first run. You're gonna go because fucking St. Louis is a secondhand market, as Mark Kozolek said, which he's right, but like, I don't want to fucking hear it. Trash. Stupid trash. Anyways, I like this album a lot. It's very, very good. We mentioned the singles. Southern Sky is great. Hope is fucking oof. Big old
Hope is
that is a very stellar one. Definitely.
Yeah.
Like, I unfortunately kind of dissent with this album because I don't really like it. I've been Alex G curious for like 2 albums now. I've been like, people really love this guy. What's he all about? And every time I'm just like, nope, not my thing.
I just love the phrase Alex G curious.
I feel like it's very fitting to him as an artist.
God. I'm still thinking about
the
his.
The thing is, Alex G makes so many choices, like sonically and even like lyrically and vocally, that are just like so bad on paper, and you listen to them and you're like, this should be bad, but it is not. It is good.
And sometimes
only Alex G could make a genuinely sweet love song in which he calls the object of his affection a big ol' cow.
God. Okay, Rose, I'll let you have your further piece, and then we can talk about some other albums.
But I think really the rest of the, like, my only other thoughts is like the opening run is incredibly solid. Like, those first 4 tracks are the points where I'm like still on board in any capacity.
God. What a genius! I'm still thinking about his answer during his AMA when asked what his most supernatural experience was, or what his most paranormal experience was, and his answer was Taco Bell. Wait, hang on. I gotta make sure I'm pronouncing this correctly, because I want to make sure that I recite it like totally on the nose.
Bring it up.
Give me one moment, because I don't want to fuck it up, because this is like one of the best answers to an I've been doing the AMA stuff for like almost 3 years now, and it's probably one of the best, if not the best, answer to a question that I have seen on the subreddit. Okay, I gotta dig deep. Gotta dig deep, and also the new Reddit is pretty bad for scrolling now, because they fucked up the Control F options. So I can't like just search anything in a thread very well, because it's stupid. God damn it. Of course. Oh, okay. In the meantime, there was someone that asked thoughts on ghouls, and then Alex G's answer was protect them. And then okay. Here's the question: have you ever had a supernatural experience? Alex G. Taco Bell spicy potato taco. and that will be the end of our Sandy Alex G discussion. Let's talk about the new Jay Som album, Anak Co. Who wants to lead on this? I would assume Alex, but it could be any of my three compadres here.
So I like this album, and I have some stuff to say, but it's not the most passionate. So if someone else wants to take this, that's chill.
I'm of the opinion that it is just fine, and it sounds very pretty, and I like it when the guitars make that sound, and that's it.
Yeah, J-Sum makes incredibly inoffensive indie music, but it's also very good, and this is her best album, but it's kind of hard to talk about because of how like inoffensive it can be.
In terms of
general,
like
these are just
in terms of like inoffensive indie music, like this is the top tier
absolutely
of this sound.
Yeah, like they're just really well crafted songs with good vibes. And
It's
they
a very
sound
good album
to my ears.
It's a good album.
My girlfriend gets so much joy out of the lines about shoplifting at Whole Foods.
God. Yeah, I think this is fine. It's got some. I think it's her best album. As I wasn't really that into her Everybody Works, I just didn't really get the praise around that album. But this one has definitely got more. It's got some more slappers on here. I like it. I think it's very good. And
I should say actually though that like I mean I liked Everybody Works a lot. Everybody Works isn't really an inoffensive album. Like it does make a lot of kind of weird choices and have like interesting textures and kind of jumps around. It's an album that feels very rainy. I don't know how to explain that.
I get it.
Yeah, that album, like, I think that one focuses more on, like, the kind of tight songs, like, having, you know, these big hooks that kind of stick with you in a way, and, like, there's kind of weird jumps there, like A Billion Dogs into, can't remember where it comes after that. I'll have to look it up.
I will say with a Natco, it makes me having seen them like twice now, opening for other artists. I want a straight up J-Som jam band album. Like give me something like when Unknown War Orchestra put out like that Hanoi record in the same year that Sex and Food came out, of the basically just the jam sessions they had while they were recording that album. Like I want that from J-Som, like because like she's incredible live. Like her band is amazing live, and they get into some jammy stuff occasionally. It's like really fucking good, and I think they get to it a little bit on this album. Like I think If You Want It, incredible intro, Superbike, great song. Peace Out is also really good. I need to actually, I think I'm actually might like this album more than I realize. I just need to listen to it again to be like, oh, okay. Because another album that happened to me recently was the new Kate LeBon record, Reward, where I was like, yeah, I think this album's pretty good, and I listened to it again. I'm like, oh wow, this album's like kind of great, honestly. Like every song is like really unique and interesting and good. And I think that's kind of the case with the Natco with me. But
I think it's really easy to just let it wash over you.
Yeah. But speaking
but
of
is
albums,
like it is worthy of focused listening.
Definitely give it a listen if you want some good kind of dreamy indie pop. Indie rock, definitely give a listen to the new J-Som record. It's very, very good, and I will probably give it some more listens soon, as I'm getting ready to embark on a 5.5 to 6 hour road trip very soon. So,
where are you going?
I'm going to Ohio to see my girlfriend.
Ah.
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about this album. Actually, I'm very excited to talk about on the podcast because I've been wanting to say stuff on it for quite a bit now. The new girl band album, The Talkies. As most people, if you don't know, I'm a huge fan of girl band. I think they are one of the best rock bands of the decade. I think Holding Hands with Jamie is one of the best debut albums ever. I think it's an incredible piece of noise rock, post punk that really like sort of kind of displays mental illness and mental deterioration and mental breakdowns in this really interesting sonic package. And I've been hotly anticipating this album for years, as this has come out 4 years since their debut and has had a kind of a long gesticulation process, as pretty much sometime I think in early 2017 they canceled all their tour dates and pretty much went on a hiatus as far as we could tell, as pretty much throughout the band's history. Frontman singer Derek Healy had plenty of mental health issues, as pretty much the genesis of Holding Hands with Jamie was like a specific like mental breakdown that he had. Pretty much once like Lawman got big, like once that song like really blew up, he pretty much had a mental breakdown, and in that process of recovery, Holding Hands with Jamie was written, and it's great. And this one, obviously, kind of in that same vein of kind of in that recovering from the sort of a mental breakdown, mental issues, and there's a lot of really interesting things going on in this album. A lot of really interesting stuff. But I'll break it to Dylan if they wanted to give some opening thoughts, and we can kind of go from there.
Yeah. So I'm probably gonna guess that I haven't spent nearly as much time with this record as you have, Matty.
Because I got an early copy of it, so I've been able to spend a bit more time with it, more time with it than most people.
Yeah. What I will say first, that it's probably the best post-punk record of the year, especially because this has been I'd say it's probably been a very weak year for like post-punk in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know what we got. I mean, we got I don't know, the Priest's album.
The Priest album was
super
disappointing. That was an extremely disappointing record. That album, they pretty much like. I mean, like Taylor Mulitz was their bassist. That was the heart of the band, as far as I could tell.
Yeah.
I'm echoing off somebody.
They went full Congleton.
I wouldn't even say they went full Congleton. I think the issue was that they didn't go Congleton enough on that album.
Yeah. That
was my issue. That like if you're gonna go full Congleton, like on like the Seduction of Kansas, like the song, like fucking go for it. And it was clearly a band that's in limbo because a member left, and that was a huge writing partner, and so like. I just don't understand. Like y'all, like I guess you need to make this album to get to. It's like I get that y'all need to make this next album to get to the next step, but at the end of the day, it's like it's still like a very disappointing follow up to a really great debut album.
But I guess we were kind of like we were set up for a down year, considering like every notable like post punk band out there right now dropped something last year.
Mm-hmm.
But especially this year, I mean the Twilight Sad album. I mean, I don't know what else we've gotten, but
I guess if we count Black Midi as post punk, which I'm not really entirely sure if I would count that as post punk. They're definitely in the same scene, but I don't know if I would full on be like post punk. It doesn't quite fit.
I think they're more experimental, just like pure experimental rock.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah. But yeah, it's been I would agree that it's been a very lackluster year, because I'm looking at my top albums of the year list right now, and I'm just trying to think of like what's the only what other post punk albums I have on here besides Girl Band, and it's yeah, that's it. It's kind of just Girl Band, maybe Truth Club if you count them as post punk, but that's kind of it. Which, by the way, that Truth Club album is very underrated. I quite enjoyed it. I think it's called Not an Exit. But nevertheless. This Girl Band album, it's fucking heavy, as expected.
It's so fucking heavy, but it's so fucking good, too.
Yes. It is really... Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, this is a band that's always been, like, really heavy, but this is, like, even for them, this is, like, some really... I mean, obviously, like, the lyrical process for this album was, Dara pretty much was, like, after... Like, I didn't realize it until he mentioned it, when it comes to the writing process for this album, but he doesn't use like any like pronouns on this album. No he, no she, no you. I think maybe a couple of yous, but like there's especially no I's. There's no I'm this, I'm that, and there's a lot of those on Holding Hands with Jamie. And so I think that honestly was probably the reason why this album didn't click with me right away, was like the lack of those like first person pronouns. Like I didn't fully realize at the time, but it was like, oh, that maybe like, yeah, that would make sense for why this wasn't really fully clicking with me right away.
Yeah,
because I had to really dig for the personal interpretations for this, and
yeah, I was most impressed by just the arrangement of sound that seemed to constantly be at play throughout this record. I especially, you especially notice it. I noticed it. I think about halfway through. I think Shoulder Blades, when he just has this primordial just scream let out halfway through, and then everything just turns into just a complete cacophony of reverb and just pulsing drums, and it's fucking incredible.
It should be stated that like the drums have always, like, I don't remember the drummer's name. It might be Alan. Yeah, I think it's Alan. It's either Alan or someone else.
Or Adam.
Adam, thank you. Okay, I'm trying to, because I think Alan's the guitarist, because I dealt with him with a girl band AMA a little bit, but nevertheless, pretty much like Adam is like that's the reason why this album doesn't fall apart, is his work both on this album and on Holding Hands with Jamie. Like he's the glue that holds everything together, truly, because it's like Dara's off screaming his fucking head off, coughing a lung, like literally he literally is like coughing a lung on like one of these tracks, Amy Gilla, which, like, let me just say, who would have thought that one of my favorite songs of the year would basically involve Dara just screaming nonsense and coughing over this like kind of simple like punk rock loop. Who would have thought? That's one of the songs I've listened to the most this year, and it's fucking amazing and great.
I gotta give like a quick shout out though to Laggard, because that shit is fucking nuts. Because it literally just sounds like a fucking like fire alarm just looped over and over and over again on itself, and the more you loop it, the more you distort it. Yeah, and it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, and also I didn't mention this yet, but it should be known that like this album, you're in the shit right away. Like the album like starts with like an actual panic attack. Like I assume in the studio while they were recording, like Dara had a panic attack, and you know while they were recording, and that's over like this sort of like kind of recurring drone thing they kind of have throughout the record, and so like that should tell you off the bat like, oh shit, like we're in for something here. Like and it doesn't let up the entire way through. The album does not let up in terms of this like overall feeling of like panic and dread especially. This album is extremely dreadful, and it's not surprising considering that they recorded this in like a haunted mansion pretty much in Ireland, or a haunted manor in Ireland, and like God, there's so many incredible songs on this record. Obviously Laggard is insane. Like the fire alarm sounding guitars.
Laggard is just like trance inducing, and Couch Comb Over as well has just one of the most, I think it's one of the most just bizarre and like most fun hooks I've heard all year, like in a rock song.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then Kavit is like, it's basically like it starts off kind of like a Talking Heads demo with like this specific kind of like percussion, and then of course just goes haywire like a minute in, and it's just
just completely breaks down, and I just love it, because constantly through this record you have this constant reoccurring of building up of arrangement and building up of instrumentation, just to have it all just crumble to pieces, and it just sounds like the band just kind of like just kicks over their drums and just smashes their instruments, and then picks them back up again.
Yeah, there's very few calm.
It's recurring cycle. Yeah, it's this recurring cycle of like repetitive kind of notions of trauma that seem to be kind of resurfacing over and over and over again, and just becomes more and more nightmarish and mutated as the album goes on.
And there's only really one calm moment on the album, is like Salmon of Knowledge. That's the only calm song I would think, just because it's in it's right in the middle of the album. It's a bit more like slow and droning. It's kind of, I'm trying to remember what song it is on Holding Hands with Jamie. It's either In Plastic, where that's sort of this like kind of calm before the storm of like that run of like basically that entire last run of the record from like Akinton to Prefab Castle, which Prefab Castle is pretty much up until like maybe the last 30 seconds like one of the best girl band songs ever. Like it starts off like just like this sort of just this like kind of droning like, okay, shit is gonna go down, and then obviously it gets like just insane bits of noise, and then it goes into this like really interesting like musical concrete section at some point, which I think was recorded. Basically, they just went all throughout this mansion and just recorded like random sounds, and they kind of all put it together where you have like really intense strings and like doors slamming and like ambience from the manor, and like it reminds me a lot of Big Dipper from Redacted on the Moon in terms of like all this like breakdown coming together. But the only issue is that the song kind of comes back in, like, it again, like I said, it crumbles and then it builds itself back up, but then it has just like a fade out ending, and it's like, oh, like that's how you end it? Like, this isn't really how you guys operate usually. And then the album ends with another fade out song with Erignus, I think is how you pronounce it, which is just sort of like basically a credit song. It's just something you would hear in the, like, as like a if this was like a visual album, that would be like the credits, you know. And it's like, oh, like, okay, like this is how you're gonna end things. Like, all right, it's a somewhat like disappointing end to like up until that point. Like, what is a fantastic, great album that's just like a amazing follow-up to a really like amazing debut, and like really building on the things that made that debut so good, but also expanding the sonic palette and really pushing themselves into new directions that really work out. But at the end of the day,
I don't know if I would call it so much a disappointment as more of it is just kind of this
anticlimactic.
It's a little bit anticlimactic, but also just feels like eventually, you know, just the album just running out of breath. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's more of just in the sense that eventually, you know, it's there, you know, we have to stop at a certain point.
Oh yeah. Like, I here's the thing, like, if it were up to me, I think I would have ended the album on that like musical concrete section. I would have ended the album like right then and there, like after that ends, and you know, like that would be it. That's the album for you. But I do think like the last like refrain of like the still in love part, I think is like, I think that's necessary also for the album though. I think like you need to have that in there too. So it's a weird dichotomy where it's like, if the album ended on this like concrete section, holy shit, that would have been amazing into the album. But at the same time, it's like the still in love section is really important for the narrative in terms of like kind of having like this like somewhat hopeful end for the record. So
yeah.
I
do kind of like the contrast of like, I mean, we were comparing it to Schlagenheim earlier, and Schlagenheim ends on Ductor, which, you know, is just which just climaxes into this bundling of noise together. And so I guess just as comparison, I appreciate the ending of this record for being sort of an opposite of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of similar in a way to Atrocity Exhibition. I think that album also ended kind of weakly, but I also can't really figure out a scenario where it's like, well, how did I want this album to end? Like, with like what's going on, it's like you can't really have a satisfying ending. It's just like, it just has to, like, at some point you just have to get tired and just be like, okay, that's it, we're done. Which, you know, yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still in love with this record. It is top 5 of the year for me. I think it's really fucking amazing, and the more I listen to it, the more that I end up like falling in love with it, you know. So yeah, I think it's really amazing, and I think they really that haunted house feeling is like such a great concept for a record. I think that then they executed it like really flawlessly in that way, where like every song you feel like you're stepping into a new room and some new ghoul like pops up at you and like boom, and you're like, ah, fuck, and you're like, I love it. I fucking love rock and roll music with guitars, baby. I love that shit. I love it.
You especially love it when they sound scary as fuck.
Yes, I love to be spooked and scared by the guitars on this album, and also the bass on this album too. Let's not forget about the bass. The bass, the way that Daniel Fox plays that bass is like unlike any other bassist that I know of currently. Like, the first time when How I Got Into Girl Band was like, I think I listened to Holding Hands with Jamie and I was like, oh, this is fine. But then I saw him at Pitchfork Fest, and like I see Daniel Fox like literally using like what I thought was a mason jar, but it's actually like a salsa jar, like just sliding that across like his what I don't know how to describe instruments. What's the part?
The neck.
Thank you. He's like sliding like a jar across like the neck of his bass, and it's like, I don't know how the fuck he thought of this, but it sounds amazing and menacing, and like, fuck, man. Fuck. This is a very good album. I quite enjoy it. Did you have any thoughts, Rose, before we kind of move on?
I listened to it once when it came out, and I felt it was one of the most viscerally unpleasant things I've had to listen to this year. I did not want to touch it again. I was just like, I get it. That's the point, but at the same time, nope, I'm good.
I don't blame you. It's really intense. It's really fucking intense. It is not an album for everybody, and I think it's definitely a very risky follow-up to Holding Hands with Jamie, which for the most part was like a very like, as much as a noise rock album can be pleasant and like crowd pleasing, it is as crowd pleasing as a noise rock album made by four Irish dudes can be. So, yeah. But for an album that's a little bit more pleasant on the ears, let's talk about, God, folks, I can't believe it, but another perfect album from Chris Farren, Born Hot.
Oh,
You'll love to
man.
see it. You'll love to see it.
I don't have much to say. It's this, but I do really enjoy this album. I think it's
So I've given it like a couple run-throughs since Friday when it came out, and it's really good. Like his debut, Can't Die, is like a lovely little record that I came back to every now and then. But like this is one that I think genuinely he is really built on his abilities since then. Like he seems to have learned a lot from the last Antarctica Vespucci album, and he's made something that's like way more compelling. It doesn't just sound like a dude sitting in a bedroom making his music, even though that's exactly what it is. And it's very, very fun. I'm happy to see that he has done even better than he was before.
Wow, another perfect album from Chris Farren, and and another perfect review from new member Rose. God, perfect. But this is a fun indie pop album. Although like it's like slight whiplash, because I listened to the Antarctica Vespucci album, so it's not like too much whiplash. But it's like, oh, like okay, oh yeah, the persona is like just for like social media and like concerts and stuff, and it just isn't really a part of the music at all. Like that took a second to be like, oh okay, oh okay. Like all right, I gotta remember, like, oh, it's actually just like kind of a front, because a lot of Chris Farren's music is about having extremely low self-esteem and stuff like that.
And meanwhile, you can go to his fucking shows and buy a shirt that says, I went to and saw another perfect set from Chris Farren, and I got this shirt.
God.
And it has his face on it.
I think like the the photo from the Rough Trade, the show he did at Rough Trade in New York, where it's like, happy 1 day anniversary to Born Hot. What a wild ride. It's so fucking good. In an era where we have so many like unfunny narcissists, it's just nice to have someone who's just like, they have this bit and it's just it's just perfect. It's just perfect. It's like 1 minute Chris Farren is he literally can't die. He's immortal. He's
perfect.
He's perfect. And then Chris Farren, then he's hot now. Wow, Chris Farren, he's hot now. And then now, disregard that he's hot now. He was born hot. All right, let me set the record straight. Chris Farren was born hot. But this is a good album. I'm definitely excited to listen to it a little more, because I'm really enjoying the bits that I've heard. I think Search For Me is a great song. I think Surrender is an incredible track. That song especially fucking hit me in the gut.
Oh yeah,
I will say. But yeah, folks.
Love Theme from Born Hot. That's also a wonderful little single. And hang on, I gotta peep the track list real quick.
Domain Lapse is also very good. But God, you know what, folks? Another perfect discussion about Chris Farren. Let's just give a round of applause. A round of applause. Now on to an album that I think I don't know the general consensus amongst everyone here. We might have some fights. We might disagree. But
It's very divisive, I think.
Yes.
And I don't really understand why.
But we'll get into that. We'll figure out why as we're talking the new album from Danny Brown, You know what I'm saying? The hotly anticipated follow-up
You know
to
what I'm
Atrocity Exhibition, which was my favorite hip-hop album of 2016 and one of my favorite hip-hop albums of the decade. And folks, I'm disappointed. I'm actually disappointed in this record. I want to give it a chance. I want to be like, okay, maybe I'm wrong about this. But each time I dive back in, I'm just like, oh, okay.
I mean, it's hard to like. I feel like it would be impossible to follow up the absolutely disgusting hot streak Danny has been on for the better part of this decade.
I mean, yeah, it had to end at some point. Like, I knew that it had to end at some point. Like, he couldn't keep it up, and especially after Atrocity Exhibition, which is just this like. I mean, it's as far as I know, it's Danny Brown's magnum opus. It's like this just fiercely creative and like damn near technically perfect record in terms of production and rapping and track listing, where you're just on this like wild, intense ride of, you know, throughout the entire record, where it gets really deep into some really like tough subjects that have always been a part of his music, but like really giving them like this sonic background that truly like displays like what these feelings actually are in terms of like drug addiction and you know, childhood trauma and you know, growing up, you know, and just general trauma throughout a very rough life. And it makes sense for this album that he wants to take a step back from that. He just wants to make a more lighthearted, fun record, but like, which is fine.
I think when I think, you know, watching Danny Brown just like on social media evolve, like, you know, between Atrocity Exhibition and now, you could get the sense that like this is not going to be another, you know, kind of like, you know, Detroit gutter, you know, visceral album, because he seems like he's actually in a better place now,
which is like obviously,
yeah, and I don't...
it's like here at the end of the day, like my main thing that no matter what I'm getting ready to say, at the end of the day, like Danny's mental health seems to be in a much better spot. He seems to be in a much better spot in life, and it doesn't fucking matter if he's making music that I don't think is as good as his previous stuff. Like, I don't like. At the end of the day,
yeah.
Who gives a fuck what I think? Who gives a fuck? Like, if he's doing well, he's doing well, and I'm like, as someone who is invested in Danny Brown, I'm happy for him. You know,
yeah,
but I'm still
he has
I still have my
evolved
issues with this album.
into cool rap uncle now, and I'm happy to see that. But at the same time, it's like I don't even think it's his fault, because he is still like rapping his ass off on this album in a way that I think is very. There are so many good lines on this thing. I think the main problem is like he should have gotten Q-Tip to do all the beats, because Q-Tip's production is like the best production on this album, period. Because like usually like Paul White was like the MVP for last album. Like you look at his credits on there and like he demolished every beat
he pretty much
on.
Produced everything on that record except for maybe like 2 or 3 songs. Like that he is the
like 3 or 4.
I think, yeah, pretty much. I think the Petit Noir track, that was with Petit Noir produced that. But like in terms of keeping the album together, like Paul White was like, that is like that album. It's basically a collab album between him and Danny. Like at the end of the day, like that's what that album is to me. It's just like it's Paul White coming up with these fucked up like sonic experiments, and then Danny being like, all right, I see how it is, and just raps his fucking ass off like no one's ever seen before over these like insane beats. And this album, it just like I don't know if Q-Tip was the wrong choice per se as like the executive producer on the record, but I think this album, obviously I just think production wise it's a step down from Atrocity Exhibition, but like no matter, like yeah, of course it's going to be a step down, but I think it's just it's such a step down in a way that it's like it's a lot more noticeable than it was going to be. I think it's like, oh, this is like, I mean, I knew it was going to be a step down, but like, like, all right, there's some like some iffy beat choices on this record for me.
Yeah.
But I think the problem with this album is I would say but I would not say the beats are the main problem. I think like it ends up being kind of Danny himself who is the main problem for me on this record. Actually, it's 2 things. It's Danny Brown himself, and I want to say the vocal mixing. The vocal mixing on this album, I was doing a quick run through of it again just to get some notes down. some of the vocal mixing is really bad. Like he's clipping on like multiple songs on this album, and I'm not
Some
sure
of
if
it's
that's like
bad. It's even worse with a lot of the features, especially JPEG Mafia's is bad, very bad.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like if that was like an intentional choice for the clipping. I don't think it was. I can't imagine that you would want to sound like that on your album, but like the clipping is really, really distracting on those run throughs, and it's actually like if I actually end up doing like a full listen of this album again, which I probably will, like it's gonna be so noticeable to a point that like my thoughts may be negative now, but they're probably gonna be way more negative on a next listen through. So enjoy this while y'all can, in terms of me having more positive things to say about this record. But it's really like distracting. It's just like, who the fuck let this through? Like Q-Tip, like dude, like what? Like is this your fault? Is this your fault, Q-Tip? If it's your fault, I'm gonna be really mad. I'm gonna be really upset. But yeah.
I think the criticism that I have of this album are kind of overshadowed by the fact that Danny Brown is so probably, he's just so charismatic still on so many of these songs. And I just can't, I can't like bring myself to say I don't like this record. Because I do think it's nice. I think it particularly helps that it's only about a half hour long, so you can throw it on for like a car ride, kind of like a short car ride, or a commute or something like that, and just keep going on with the rest of your day.
It's very low stakes. It's low stakes, which is like I don't hate that.
It's like a victory lap.
A little bit, yeah, but it's a victory lap like Run the Jewels 3 was a victory lap. And if you know how I feel about Run the Jewels 3, it's like, I guess y'all deserve to go on this victory lap, but at the same time, it's like you're kind of letting the competition pass you up by while you're doing that, because it's like you're going on a victory lap, but you don't realize that there's one more lap around the track, and you're like, oh fuck, and then it's just like that's kind of how this album feels. Although with Danny Brown, this is like actually a victory lap though. Like those the run from XXX to Atrocity Exhibition is like completely insane. And if he deserves it, he deserves to go on this album. Although, like, obviously the vocal mixing is pretty iffy. I think some of his flows are really off on this album. There's definitely times where it feels like he's, like, a teeny bit offbeat and not really in, like, a way where it's like, okay, this is building to him getting back on beat, But it's like, oh, this is just, like, he just is, like, just that tiny bit offbeat, and it bothers me to such an extent. And I think, like I said, I think some of his line for what's supposed to be like his stand-up album, I don't think it's very funny, and I don't think it's that insightful either.
Yeah,
because that's how he was promoting this record. I just don't think
But I mean,
it didn't land for me in that way. It's like if that's what you want to go for, like okay, cool, but like it doesn't work, It's,
yeah, but I mean, this was no more of a disappointment. Like when I think about other rap records that came out this year, I think Bandana was a huge disappointment. I think.
Oh yeah, God.
Yeah, Bandana was just. I thought the Injury Reserve album was a huge disappointment as well.
I kind of like that. I mean, I haven't listened to it since, which I gave it a listen through like I think like a month ago, and I quite enjoyed it. But I've never been that invested in Injury Reserve, so maybe my opinions are like not really that worthy.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a lot of the other ones that came out, especially one. That we'll talk about, coming up here, they just feel, very boilerplate. So I feel like in a very kind of like boilerplate year, this is above average and it stands above the rest. But I feel like if you throw this into, I don't know, like a 2017 or something, a more saturated year.
Yeah, it would not stand up very well at all.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
But yeah, I'm also can we I mean maybe we can agree on this. I'm so fucking tired of Run the Jewels. I'm so fucking tired. I'm so tired. Like,
yeah.
I mean, both of them. I mean, I'm more LP than Killer Mike, but they're both just wasting their fucking time. Like, they're making Run the Jewels 4 right now, and it's just like, you kind of stop while you're ahead, fellas. I understand you gotta keep the money train going, but y'all could have stopped while you were ahead. Y'all could have snuck in some solo records in between. Like,
I just want Cancer for Cure too.
I just want LP4. I just want LP4 at this point. From because when he's on his solo shit, his first two records, especially, fuck, I know that.
I'll Sleep When You're Dead.
Thank you. Just Our Minds, Rose, Our Minds. Also, When You're Dead is just such a great, fantastic record, and it's like he's so much better in that lane than Run the Jewels. It's just like it's LP's just like, I'm gonna fuck your mom, I'm gonna fuck your aunt. Weird sci-fi reference, ha ha ha. Now it's in my friend Killer Mike. Hi, I'm Killer Mike. Black capitalism, baby. And that's it.
Remember when No Name got bullied into becoming a communist?
God, wish we could do the same for Killer Mike. Okay, hang on. We're talking
Maddie,
about
have you ever listened to
Run the
Candlebox?
Jewels personally,
No,
if it means
You need
another
to.
like Killer Mike, I've never masturbated moment.
Alex, I was getting ready to bring this up. Someone on Indieheads pointed out that if you do a search like on Google Trends for Run the Jewels, you will see that there is a down spike in terms
A
of
noticeable down spike.
a noticeable down spike starting from when Killer Mike admitted that he has never jerked off before. There is it's probably because like, okay, well, obviously because Run the Jewels 3 came out and then that was the big, but I would in my headcanon, no, it's because Killer Mike has admitted that he has never jerked off, and that has split the fan base completely.
Remember when we found out that Killer Mike is not only in the NRA but a passionate supporter, and like this is, I don't know, it's still just insane to me because this is fucking like, this dude wrote Reagan.
I think he backtracked on it somewhat, but like to get to that point where you're like on NRA TV and basically like being a propaganda arm, it's like you
understand the like foundational ideology behind it, and then like, but when you actually put it into action, it's like, oh no.
Look,
the problems are bad, but the causes are very good.
If Killer Mike had jerked off, maybe the dopamine rush that would come to his head would make him realize that, oh, the NRA is bad. This all could be avoided if Killer Mike just jerked off. If he ever just jerked off.
Shout out to
Killer Mike,
the
you
pod
need
banner.
to come. Please
come.
This man needs to come.
Shout out to friend of the pod banner for getting a reply from Killer Mike, basically just telling him to go jerk off and leave him alone.
God, Jesus Christ. Oh, God, LP. I mean, that's the sad thing, is that like, and also, oh yeah, remember when Killer Mike had a Netflix show that was basically like just like a worse version of Nathan For You? That basically was like, that was basically just like, there's an entire episode where he was trying to survive on like just black capitalism, pretty much, was just trying to survive off of black-owned businesses, and like didn't come to the realization that like, oh, maybe all of this is bad. Just he's so our dumb, stupid, large son, Killer Mike, large Michael, our large dumb son, large adult son,
Murderer Michael, I think.
Oh God. Okay, let's. Okay, we don't have many other things we want to talk about on this podcast, so we'll just kind of get to some of these last records somewhat quickly. I know you and Rose want to talk about the Tropical Fuckstorm album.
Yeah, Tropical Hexstorm. This album rules. That's all I can really say about it. I mean, if you listen, if everyone knows, Laughing Death and Meat Space from last year, it's kind of part 2 of that. It's a little more electronic. Yeah.
It's a little reserved compared to the other one. Like, I feel like they kind of hold back a lot of the big squawky kind of guitar textures for moments when they really want to send it in.
Yeah. Although I will say that Paradise is a better song than anything that was on Space.
Yeah, like that is without a doubt the best song they have ever written, and genuinely just buck wild. Like, also Maria 63, the title track, and Aspirin are all ones that I think I'm definitely going to come back to. Like, I didn't like it as a whole as much, but like the highlights on this thing are amazing.
They're high, and I also loved Fiona's little vocal track for Eugene. I thought that was very nice. I
I think
want
Eugene's
Fiona.
really good.
Yeah, I want Fiona to get more vocal parts in the future.
Yeah, I think they
But,
definitely are going to lean towards a more collaborative effort as a whole for the band.
Yeah. Yeah, whereas, Meat Space felt like a spit in your face, pull out your teeth kind of record, with just how massive it was. This feels, like you said, more insular, more toned down just a bit, but it's still an incredibly solid record, and I'm loving the shit out of it.
Yeah, just good shit. Like Gareth does it again.
All right.
Gareth, another perfect record from Gareth Lydiard, folks.
How many years running?
God. Fuck. What was I gonna say? Okay. Two things. I got into Fiona Apple. I got into Fiona Apple recently. I finally listened to the Idler Wheel after some light
Idler
bullying
Wheel
from
is
my girlfriend. Holy shit, y'all! I mean, that's not shocking for anyone who's listening to the album, but like, holy shit!
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's been a couple daily music discussion threads that have popped up. Like, I made a comment being like, I listened to this first time, holy shit, y'all! And like, the next 2 days, like, people who are also listening to it the first time, there's the exact same reaction of like, holy shit! Like, what? Fucking, and then also listen to Win the Pawn and Tidal, which I'm very excited to listen to more Fiona Apple or over for the rest of the year and into eternity until I fucking die, because holy shit, y'all, holy shit. Okay, I said 2 more things, but it's gonna be more 3 because this one's just a quick shout. The new Devin Welsh album, True Love, is very, very good. I like it quite a bit. Very good kind of minimal electronic singer-songwriter record. Somebody Loves You is a great track. Uniform, It's a Game. A lot of really great songs on this album. Definitely worth a listen. Don't let it fall under your radar. I definitely need to listen to his debut and also more Magical Clouds, because it turns out, oh wow, this guy's really fucking good at writing songs and shit. So shout out to Devin Welsh. True Love, great record. And then the final thing that I wanted to mention before we wrap up the podcast. Oh boy, please don't crash on me, Skype. Please don't. We cannot lose a podcast. Please don't do this to me. Okay, are you guys okay?
Yep.
Okay, did you guys hear me while I was freaking out about Skype crashing? Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
And
Skype was
also,
like about to Skype was about to crash, and I was very worried. What were we gonna say, Alex?
Ever recording too.
Okay, thank God. Okay, and the last thing I want to mention is I got some beef to discuss. I got some beef. So an album that we should probably talk about would be All My Heroes Are Cornballs by JPEG Mafia.
Sorry.
But
Do you mean All My Papas Eat Ass?
yes, All My Papas Eat Ass by JPEG Mafia. But we're not going to talk about that record because JPEG Mafia is officially on my shit list because he decided to call us. He decided to call out Reddit on Twitter about a week and a half ago. Actually, yeah, a week and a half ago. But he was specifically talking about Indieheads, and so I'll give you the behind-the-scenes story of why JPEG Mafia called us out, which I'll pull up the specific JPEG tweet just so we can get both sides of the story. So, but while I'm doing that, I'll explain what happened. So basically, I just reached out to his team about an AMA because obviously this year, I mean, it's pretty much since last year, but especially this year, we're kind of increasing our hip-hop coverage on Indieheads as we've loosened up our rules to a significant degree, as obviously we had Quell Chris earlier this year, and we just had clipping today on the day of this recording. It'll probably be yesterday once this goes up. Anyways, reached out to JPEG's team. I think it was his label, and pretty much they just kept jerking us around in terms of like getting a date figured out and whatnot. Which it happens sometimes, like negotiations. Sometimes it's very quick. Sometimes it can take a little bit to get stuff together. Like the Big Thief AMA that's about to happen. That one was kind of a months long process to finally get that booked. But this JPEG AMA was a bit more notable. Where pretty much teams like jerking us around, and eventually they kind of come. They're like, Okay, so we finally talked to him about this, and we've been talking about this AMA for at least a month at this point. Close to a month. Basically, as far as I can tell, the entire label team is on this email. It's like 5 or 6 people with like the same like ending email, and I even put like his press agent on there, who I didn't realize was his press agent until I reached out about a different AMA. And so I threw her on there. Sarah's on the email too, because I put Sarah from the subreddit on these things now, because she's helping me run social media and whatnot. Which, by the way, Sarah, shouts out to Sarah520, tremendous help. I love her very dearly. Tremendous help on the Indieheads mod team. Tremendous help to me. Love Sarah. Great person. Lovely. Anyways, finally they come to us, and it seems like they've just now told him about this AMA thing. So it's like okay, like why are you just now, after we've been talking for like at least 3 to 4 weeks, you're just now like getting around to him to telling him about this, and then the team comes through, and this is, I guess, now apparently from JPEG, comes through with this stupid fucking idea, like completely fucking moronic. Like, so like, what if like instead of doing like an AMA, like what if like we go to this like singular location and like I set up like a tent or something, and like people come up to me and like ask me questions to my face, and it's like. And of course, my first instinct was like, no, that's fucking stupid. We're not going to do that. We're not actually fucking Reddit. We don't have the fucking funds to put that together. Like, you want to do that on your own time, on your own dime, go on ahead. But like, we don't, like, this is not what we do. Like, why the fuck are you suggesting us this? Like, we've had people who like had interesting ideas. Like, I think we had Bell and Sebastian who want to do like an Ask You anything, where like they're gonna ask questions along with doing like a regular AMA. They're gonna ask questions to like their fans, which I'm like, okay, it's fine, but like whatever. Or doing like the takeovers, for example, which is like, if you want to do a takeover, I'd be fine with a takeover. I think that would make sense for the album, and I think it makes sense for him. But no, you got to come through this stupid fucking idea where you have a Q&A festival, pretty much. Like, it's like what you're describing to us, JPEG, is it's just a meet and greet. That's what you've described to us. If you want to do a fucking meet and greet, just do a fucking meet and greet. Like, this is not, has nothing to do with what we do on the subreddit. But Sarah gave a response back, because I knew I wouldn't be able to do, like, I wouldn't be able to give like a calm response back. Sarah gives a calm response, basically saying like, hey, like, you know, it's not really, I mean, basically just saying like, it's cool you guys want to do something different, but really the best way to do this is just the traditional AMA format, and never got a response back. That was pretty much it. It was just like, okay, never got a response back. We're just going to move on. We have so many other shit we have to set up anyway, so it's like, whatever, water under the bridge. And then Peggy comes out with this tweet on October 5th saying, Reddit wanted me to do an AMA. I told them the only way I'm doing it is if we pick a spot and these people pull up in person. Hating ass people see me all the time, yet they get to hide. Be brave and come say it to my face. No AMA till you keep that same energy IRL. Which is just like...
Matty, I really appreciate the I really appreciate this effort to get JPEG Mafia to listen to our entire podcast before
Look, this is my podcast. If I want to say my piece, I want to say my piece.
Everything I hear about Peggy just makes him sound like the most
miserable. He seems like a miserable person.
Just unpleasant person, the most unpleasant person you could meet.
But I mean, anyways, my
just
response
seems like a real asshole. I love Veteran, but he just seems like such a dick.
I mean, yes, I fully agree. Having to get subtweeted by him now, like just I mean, obviously my initial response was just like hose mad. Like, that was just hose mad. But I mean, my further response is just like, you guys don't understand how this shit works. If you don't, here's the thing: if you didn't want to do the AMA, all you had to do was say no. You just had to say no, and that could have been it. But no, you gotta string us along. You gotta give us a dumb fucking idea, and that's that. But also at the same time, I'm honored that his team actually thinks that I work for Reddit. That's cool. I would like to get paid to do this stuff. That'd be nice, but for
Does
the time
this
being,
for free, folks.
I do this for the fans, folks. I do it again. I do it for the fans, all right? I do it for the community, all right? Volunteer, baby. I love it. But obviously the idea is stupid and we shot it down. Ho's mad. Once again, Ho's mad. But like, I mean, just to be serious, like doing the Indieheads AMA stuff over the past like 2 years has been like 2 or 3 years has been like a genuinely like rewarding experience to me. Like I've had a blast like setting these stuff up and like helping the subreddit grow, doing these things and like, you know, having all these like artists come on the subreddit and like really connect with fans. I think it's a really unique like format to do that. I think it's a really a special way for artists to be able to like connect with their fans in like a safe, accessible way. And it's like if you want to, yeah, but it's like, but it's here's the thing. It's like if you want to come out with your fucking persecution complex and project that onto us, fine, I guess. But you know, because 99 times out of 10, most of these AMAs are super fun for the artists, and if you can't see that, like that's on you, dude. Like it's on you. But sucks. But you know, what are you gonna do? And also, it's free publicity. Like, it's free publicity. You don't have to pay to do these AMAs. It's literally like your album is like plastered on the front page of our subreddit, which gets like hundreds of thousands of views every day. You know, like that's plastered for free. That's free advertising, and you're passing up on that because you have a weird obsession with your haters. Like, dude, come on. But the album is good. I think all My Heroes Are Cornballs is a good album. But you know, my opinions on
right.
JPEG Mafia.
Sorry, what did you say?
I said it's a good album, but my opinions on JPEG Mafia are a bit lowered now by virtue of this experience.
Oh, you said an album title that was unfamiliar to me.
I'm sorry. All My Papas Eat Ass by JPEG Mafia. Sorry, I went on like a very long tangent there. I just wanted to get my piece out. I'm like a little bit upset with it. Like, you know, I'm like a little bit upset that like he's got to see the negative in this shit. When like for the most part it's a very like positive, awesome, rewarding experience. Like it sucks you gotta view it like that, man. And like it's the most like Silicon Valley ass idea to be like, I want to do like a little festival where people come you know, say it to my face, and it's like, you could just do some meet and greets, bro. You could just, you know, you could pocket some extra cash doing that.
Isn't that basically what Mark Zuckerberg is doing? He's like going around the country so that people can like insult him to his face.
That's what he did in like 2015, 2016 when people thought he was going to... Actually, was it... I'm trying to remember when it was. It was either before the election or after the election where he did that, where everyone was like, oh my god, is he going to run for fucking president? Like, what the fuck? Like, excuse me? God. Anyways, JPEG Mafia... enemy of the Indieheads Podcast. He's added to the list of our enemies. Who
look out for his new single, I Might Vote for Howard Schultz, dropping very soon.
Oh my god. Jesus
Featuring
Christ.
Connor O'Malley.
God, I love that boy. I think that'll about wrap it up for this podcast, though. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. Hopefully we will actually get back into a regular schedule now that we've gotten this out of our systems, because we actually have albums that we want to talk about that we're actually saving for the next podcast. So,
It's true.
yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, hopefully you enjoyed this long macroeconomics lecture that. So. From one Matthew Monroe and my associates, hopefully enjoyed the episode. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Indieheads Pod. Again, you gotta stick around for your weekly It's the Freaking Weekend Baby posts. You gotta follow us for those freaking weekend baby posts. Of course, again, follow us, subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get podcasts, if we're available on there. I have no idea. All I know is that we're definitely on Apple Podcasts and we're definitely on Spotify. But other than that, you tell me. You tell me if we're on there. Yeah. YouTube, like I said, will be, of course, coming up. Obviously, list season also coming up is the 2019 Low Effort Album Review Series, which I'm very excited to get started on soon. And pump out some daily content for the real ones out there. And is there anything else y'all want to plug before we sign off? Any personal projects?
Ghosteen is album of the year. We didn't talk about it yet. We're saving it, but Ghosteen is album of the year.
The Philadelphia band Friendship, who put out an amazing record in 2017 called Shock Out of Season that I love with all my heart. It's coming out with a new album in November called Dreamin', and the singles are amazing, and you should listen to them.
Yeah. I guess shout out Jenny Haval. Practice of Love is pretty good. Shout out Steel Tube Room, and shout out, I guess, I don't know, Delta 55. There we go. That's it. That's all I got.
Shout out Glass Beach, because I've been slowly getting into their debut record, the first Glass Beach album from this year, and hoo boy, it is a lot, and it's good, and you should listen to it.
Shout out the photographic black and white film Delta 3200. I see you, I respect you, and I love you. Thank you.
Shout out to the seminal late 90s hip hop record Deltron 3030. I don't know how far back we want to go with this.
Shout out to dads, because who else is gonna keep Wilco afloat?
Shout out to Joe Keery, who put out a shockingly good album, but that's not really a bit. That's just that's just a good record that I want to mention.
Shout out to Parasite, a film directed by Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Hive. They're actually showing it in St. Louis. I'm actually gonna go. I'm like, oh shit! I actually have to go to this.
There is a 0% chance it plays near me.
Folks, hang on. Fuck. I can't believe I forgot this. The gems, baby. Are they uncut?
Oh, are they?
They better be uncut.
I hope.
Alex, are they uncut? Are these gems uncut?
Sounds like it's good if they are, so I'm gonna say that yes, they are uncut.
Hey!
The gems are uncut, baby. Uncut gems coming out December 20th. What's the fish 20? When's it come out? Is it a Christmas movie?
It might be a Christmas
December 13th.
movie. Yeah, it's a Christmas movie.
It's Uncut Gems, baby. Film of the year. God, a lot of good movies, a lot of good albums that are out or are coming out. Even though we're coming towards the end of the year. Alex, you know what album you forgot about to shout out? Mount Airy, baby.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, Mount Eerie's coming out with an album. Same day as that Friendship album. Keep your eyes peeled. And it seems like it's going to be an amazing record. And yeah, Phil Elverum is one of my favorite working artists.
Yeah. All right.
Hell yeah.
I think that is officially it for this podcast. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. We will see y'all on the next one. Goodbye.
Mwah.